What is up, everybody? Welcome to Flow State episode, I don't know, it's somewhere in the description. There is actually a playlist on all these shorter Flow State episodes. Go check it out. However, in this one, we're going to take a look at that big fucking, actually the last two trades, but especially that big one for 8 grand on the very bottom, which is the biggest trade of my trading career in 2024. All right, there's been bigger trades, but as of this year being April, this has been the biggest one. So yeah, we're gonna fucking montage it, even though most of my trading doesn't look like that. If you want to know what most of my trading looks like, then you should go to the coffee and you can see how most of my trading is scalps. However, every now and then we come across something like this, and then I put it on YouTube, and then you guys think I do this every fucking day, even though I told you that's not what happens. So this big-ass trade, just to give you context, is the CPI reclaim. Basically, and I don't have a chart to show you what that looks like. It might show up in this footage because I'm reviewing it like a week and a half later, 2 weeks later. Go watch this last video. This is taking back the FOMC reclaim. That's actually was one of the bigger trades of the year. Now we have a new one, kind of close to it. So that same trade is what's basically happening here. That's taking an FOMC reclaim back, whereas this one we're taking a CPI reclaim back, but this time we're taking it on the long end. I have a slip and reclaim video. I can't stress how important that is, and I talk about it in like almost every fucking video. So contextually, that's what's happening. I don't have a chart readily available to show you because I'm filming this so like many days later. Now, you're going to notice something new and interesting in this. I'm actually looking at stock correlations. I've been doing that for over a month now. I have no content on that other than the coffee, and there's fuckloads of material covering that stuff. That's where all the cutting edge shit is. But the reason I look at equities reclaims is because of the way the order flow behaves in ES. It doesn't move under its own order flow anymore, and it hasn't been. It's been moving because NQ is moving, and if NQ is moving, then since NQ is a sister to ES, there's a good chance NQ is not moving under its own order flow. This video is not to get into that. This is a bigger technical thing. I'm making content on this, but basically using stocks, more specifically the Magnificent 6, not the 7. I don't look at Tesla. Looking at equities, oh my God, it's really amped stuff up. We know through my videos here how important things like Russell are and just how important correlations are. Those videos are very important to watch. So in this specific video, having things like Amazon, Apple really help dial in trades a lot fucking better. And for me, it takes a high probability setup, and when you get multiple markets to agree on a direction, it just makes a probability of follow through even fucking higher. So taking edge as of now and then making sure that edge is being agreed across multiple products makes it that much better. So you're going to be seeing this shit for the first time if you're not a coffee follower on my YouTube. But again, that's not the point of this video. This is about the CPI reclaim. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the big loss. So there's quite a bit of reclaiming to the low side here, and here. So, and then they're putting in more reclaiming right there. Looking at stocks, this is Apple, Amazon, Google, Meta, Microsoft, and NVIDIA. Looking for them to get reclaims. And they are getting reclaims as of this moment in time. Apple's really jamming into a higher time frame reclaim. Notice how all the stocks kind of just move at the same time. So that just gives you an idea of what the fuck's happening. We got this huge stop run of a wick up. So for me, I'm looking to potentially, I'm going to a higher time frame. So this is a pretty decently higher time frame. That's a 3-minute chart. So there's kind of a range up here, and to me it seems like there's a higher chance they could mean revert. So what I'm doing is waiting to potentially get short, unless I already fucking got short. So yeah, I actually am getting blown out on this fucking trade. I guess I don't show it, so sorry for that, guys. But here's the CPI reclaim, just so you guys can see it. It is massive, and we're in this range, and maybe I'm getting into the short. I don't fucking know at this point. We'll see. But either way, we're gonna play this fucking footage out. So for me, it's like that's a big fucking reclaim. But we're still in a range overall, as you could see. So is it gonna mean revert, or are they gonna hit the CPI reclaim? So we're gonna continue to watch this, and then should be executing pretty soon here. And what I'm gonna do is put it on 2x speed because it's just easier to sit through this shit. Okay, so at this point we're putting in a measured move of this range. I'm gonna go ahead and just pause it. So I do get wiped in this region, so unfortunately I didn't record what's happening. You're gonna see the trade on the long side, and I'm just gonna fucking explain it because this is a big fucking trade, and I guess this is, I don't fucking remember the recordings. But anyways, this is a massive fucking range, and what you gotta understand here is this goes back to 410 to 411. So this is almost 2 days of ranging, if you will. So the longer range goes on, the more intense the blowout is going to be, especially if it's taller. So I'm doing a measured move of this fucking thing. So in my opinion, we should be pushing to 26, and that's me being conservative. I do believe that it does have the potential of running all the way up here into the 84s. But I'm going to be more conservative on this because typically when a range breaks out, you get a measured move of that range, meaning you can take the body width and then put it on top or the bottom, and typically you can see the trade move that far. This one has a reclaim that's also assisting the breakout. So if this range breaks out, this CPI reclaim, being a reclaim, is also going to help tug the trade through. So this is kind of two setups in one. Again, range break should put in a measured move, but you also have a reclaim that is almost as long as the measured move itself. So what happens is there's a point in time where I get short, and we're going to go back in time. So I'm going to be getting short in about 20-ish seconds or so. So I'm probably putting on a short somewhere right up in this fucking region. And then right here, you can see how the markets blow out really hard right there. Those little wicks up. That blew me out. So when I was looking at the DOM, I thought I had the recorded footage, but I guess I don't. Because when I stream these coffee things, I'm like trying to switch between all my screens. So that way the coffee subscribers can see what I'm looking at better. I guess I didn't get it here. But either way, that little blowout got me, and that's where I get clapped out on the 2K. So let's look at the entry. So the entry is going to be coming up here in just a moment. So this is just a little bit more in the future. So we do flip. We start flipping as we notice this is starting to break out. So when I get, and what you'll see is the actual entry here at the price of 25. So let's go back. So as soon as we start to cross into the 25 territory, this is where I start getting long, because I noticed that there's a weird order flow event. So I'm getting long right in this position at the top of this major range again. This is a very high time frame. This has got to be, I don't know, 3 minutes maybe. Yeah, that was a 3-minute chart on ES. Let's go back and look at it. So the way that the order flow just kind of came in across equities as well was just so aggressive on the DOM, and they were hitting a cluster of stop runs. And the thing is, in this specific environment, the path of least resistance is trading into reclaims. Am I trading to on this specific day, April, and it's been like this for a little while, I don't want to anticipate stop runs. I don't want to trade into directions where I speculate stop runs are going to be. And stop runs can come in many forms. Typically, it's going to be areas where there's a lot of pivoting and shit. So what happened was when the markets originally shot up, which I'll show you again. So this is, they're kind of gearing up, and for me, I was kind of leaning into these reclaims low, which they're in the equities as well. You can see all the equities have sort of this reclaim low. So me taking a short there was somewhat valid, but at the same, and this is ES over here, NQ Russell. So the indices and the equities all have this reclaim. I'm kind of getting in a little fucked position, but they all have like these pivots up here. Pivots. A lot of pivots, a lot of chopping, and this is 3-second charts, by the way. A lot of chop here. Also, ES has a lot of chop up here. NQ has a lot of chop up here. So those are all stop run potentials, and it's not a good idea to speculate areas like this are going to break, because most of the time they don't. Most of the time the market is slapping reclaims back. And again, if this is really foreign to you, I do have videos. You can really attempt to reverse engineer the shit on YouTube if you want, but it's watching me trade all the time in the coffees where you're going to really see it in a more clear way. But again, I'm trying to explain this shit here, and I don't post many YouTube videos, so... And when I post technical shit like this, most people don't give a fuck. It's when I rant and rave. But anyways, you know, 25s is right here, so... Due to the nature of, like, the aggressive order flow that's coming in, and the fact that they are stop running across all the products, and when I got wiped pretty quickly on that $2,000 loss, and the order flow came in, like the movement across all the markets came in so fast, so sudden, and it was such a huge volatile movement that just from 7.5 years of watching futures, especially the DOM. You know, my DOM has looked the same all these years for the most part. That to me was a very abnormal order flow event, and the fact that all the markets are doing that, I started to realize that the CPI reclaim was on. Now, larger reclaims like this, typically they don't blow it out first go. You can see how there was a lot of drama on this 3-minute chart before it's finally going. Now, they got a little bit of compression in here, which is interesting, meaning the market gets tight. There's still downside reclaim. They never took it back. The original loss of $2,000 was valid at that time to try to get it and do a mean reversion, because, you know, I have this video here and where I talk about mean reversions and how most of the time the market mean reverts. However, what you gotta understand is there's just gonna be times where it's not gonna mean revert, and this is where the skill set of trade management and all that shit comes into play, right? So at this point, I realized CPI reclaims on, especially since we were cooking under it for almost 2 fucking sessions, and that weird order flow event, and the fact that it was happening in equities, which fuck, dude. Equities is just as fucked up, by the way. Equities are just as choppy and just as fucked up as ES. Not as choppy, not as abusively choppy, but equities certainly has a fair share of drama. But what's interesting is the concepts and techniques and setups are universal in futures as equities. And I always thought that would be the case, and we finally kind of decided to look, and it's been pretty fucking sick. I really like it. It really has helped add another level of clarity in my trading. And here's the thing, guys, if the trading system is not evolving, then what the fuck? You know, I am constantly evolving and getting better, so little things like that are gonna just happen, right? In this video on courses suck, I talk about how, you know, old courses are kind of invalid, and that the course provider, their trading should have evolved, so something in the course I think should be different over the years. And essentially that's what happens in my trading. You guys watch me grow. So anyways, we are hitting this reclaim up. So unfortunately, this is the first piece of footage of the actual DOM here. So we're in it at 25, and this is a full 12 lot, no scaling here. But now you can see how we got equities down here, because this is really recording like 3 fucking monitors. One monitor here with the DOM, and this is Jigsaw DOM, by the way, guys. If you want to save, you save a couple bucks if you use my affiliate link in the description. I absolutely love Jigsaw. Anyways, so we're hitting up here. You can see that we have ES top left, NQ Russell, and that's how it's always been. And now you have Apple. Well, I actually moved Russell to this screen. Russell used to be down here, but now Russell lives with the others on one screen. And then again, Apple, Amazon, Google, Meta, Microsoft, and NVIDIA, alphabetical order. But you got this weird little indicator thing on here that's supposed to show reclaims, but it's kind of shit. It needs to be fixed. I need a coding guy to fix that. But me trying to hand draw reclaims and shit all the time is just, it's almost fucking impossible. Now, I mentioned like getting out at 20 fucking 6. Also, here's what's interesting is you can finally see, so now I'm monitoring a higher time frame at this point, 10-minute charts. You can barely see it, but NQ has this massive reclaim. NQ was actually breaking out into the CPI reclaim well before ES. So NQ was sort of a leading indicator, and it was blowing out and dragging out well before ES, and that was kind of queuing me off as well, now that I'm looking at this. So NQ's actually through the reclaim, and for me, my exit's going to be somewhat conservative here. Now, where specifically do I get out on this? I really don't remember. I'll tell you. We're gonna get out at 38s, which is way the fuck up there, and we take the whole position off in 38, so keep that in mind as you're watching this. And no scaling. We're willing to push it. And then, again, guys, this isn't most of my trading. This is you have a CPI reclaim on Apple. They took that back. So we're kind of looking in this 43s. That's where I want to get out, because that's sort of this midpoint on this reclaim. Again, I don't want to ride the whole reclaim. I want to get out at the midpoint. A lot of my exits are very conservative. I actually had a trader the other day ask what's the concept of scalping, why you should scalp. And he says he noticed that, and he's a crude trader, he notices that holds are more stressful, and he's like, you know, lately they've been always coming back. But what's the concept of scalping? Well, the thing about scalping is you're just introducing less variance in the trading, because the price action can shift so drastically. The expected value of a hold you start to introduce more and more randomness as you sit there and hold the fucking trade. I mean, this is why I made this video here on why you should scalp in 24, because yeah, a lot of trades come back, and it's not just me who's experienced it. A lot of other traders have experienced it as well, and then I just see people who give up on futures altogether and trade just equities because they can't do it. But the thing is, you know, guys, you can make a good living off of making 2 points a day. Like, you can make a good living off 8 ticks, and I think a lot of traders get it in their heads they need these huge goes. But like, for me, a lot of times I'm making 8-12 ticks in a session, and while that may seem easy and not very impressive, if you're struggling with your trading, I mean, I challenge you to just try to make a point in a day. 4 ticks, that's it. It's a lot harder than you think to consistently do that, but you can do well off 4 ticks, or even 8 ticks on a little bit of size. And this type of trade here just happens to be the same thing I normally would scalp on these smaller time frames, where I'm picking up a couple of ticks or whatever. It just happens to be one of the larger patterns of it. It's just patterns. A lot of these patterns and reclaims are very fractal. So yeah, what's interesting here is you got Apple, Amazon pushing up, and then you have Meta dumping, and Meta's hitting a reclaim right here to the upside. The problem is it's chop walking down. So we're just kind of hitting this struggle area where a lot of this other shit, this is Apple, by the way, and for me, I'm like, okay, Apple's getting near the top of a range. Apple took its reclaim back. There's a bigger reclaim up there. Are they going to take it or are they not? What's interesting is these equities tend to they all take reclaims back, but they tend to sometimes take them back quicker than the futures market. So the futures markets, like once equities take their reclaims back, the futures markets may not finish cycling their reclaims. But since they're running because of stocks, that's what's ultimately pushing the futures markets. If the stocks are done cycling something and we're looking to get out right in here, once the stocks are done cycling reclaims or some auction process, you're gonna see a lot of you're gonna see a lot of follow through failure in futures. And I mean, some of you might understand what it is that I'm saying and get where I'm coming from here. But this is why you're not seeing follow through in a lot of your futures trades, is because the equities are they're done with their auction process and they're ready to roll back in, and that does influence this shit. And if this interests you, I would say Amazon's the biggest one that I notice has the most influence on ES as far as a tick for tick count goes. There's the trading session. We're stoked this point, but Amazon has the biggest trade tick for tick count, so you don't need to look at everything. If this interests you, again, there will be more content on this in the future. This is kind of an interesting spin for some of you guys who aren't coffee subs. You're like, what the fuck? But I do want to talk about the stocks here a little bit. So even though Amazon isn't the biggest one in the basket of indices, it's like, how does this shit move? Like, because all this technical jargon and shit doesn't matter. It's like when Amazon hits a reclaim, it tends to move ES more ticks than anything else. Apple, I would say, is the second runner up. Not so much Nvidia. Nvidia seems very thin and whippy. I've not seen a DOM, but I can tell by looking at it, it's probably just as thin and as fucked up as NQ. But just my perception on how these markets really function, I think, especially with the way ES just moves so well with NQ, and it's kind of not moving under it's not really moving under its own order flow, which is probably hard for some of you guys to digest. But again, there's going to be content on this in the fucking future to visually show you what I fucking mean. But yes, there's order flow coming in through ES, but for me, I think the markets are so arbed at this point. There's so many algos across all of the products. The whole fucking thing sort of ebbs and flows as one unit. And that's why it's so choppy, because there's a bunch of times where they're all disagreeing in these equities and they fight each other, and then there's a point in time where they all sync up and agree, and then like here they all hit their CPI reclaims at the same time, and then they combo run each other into stop run areas and then other smaller reclaim zones, so the momentum keeps going. And for me, like, correlations is the best fucking indicator, hands down. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed that fucking video. Kind of a different flow state episode. Not as flowy, but that's a big ass trade. And I want to share with you guys why I took it, how I took it, why there was a loss, and just explain the why and create clarity. Because it's one thing when traders show a big trade, but if they can't explain it for shit, then it's just a waste of fucking time. So I like to just explain these things because these are great little case studies to learn from, and it helps me learn as well. I get more benefit out of teaching this shit than you guys probably get out of learning it, because like me explaining it just kind of is another rep where it's like I'm seeing this again, you know, a week or two later, and it just helps me. So until then, I hope you guys enjoy that. Give it a thumbs up, help me out here, and I will see you in the next video.